Okay, so without these fundamental ways of thinking about standardized testing and perhaps especially the SAT, your job as a student is going to be a lot harder, right? So you can make things easier for yourself by thinking in particular ways, right? So let me just share a couple of these things with you, right? So basically, the cartoon that I always draw for my students, corny cartoon, right, at the beginning of the semester, right, is this one, right? And take a look at it, right? Okay, so here we've got the guy on the left. I call him like he's essentially the biggest bully in the schoolyard, right? And he's coming after you. You're on the right side. You're the skinny little guy, right? And this big bully, right? He's got this toy that he wants to test out on your head, right? So another way of describing this guy is the SAT test writer. Yeah, and his toy is the SAT, right? So he wants to test it out on your brain, right? And he's coming after you, right? And you have to do some quick thinking and dodge. You don't know how exactly maybe to dodge, right? So you have to kind of guess as to where he's or what basic weaknesses, right? He's thinking about what he's trying to test you on. And there's a whole series of weaknesses, right? So in training for the SAT, you build up these strengths, so you decrease your weaknesses, right? And this is basically, this is what I call a disciplinary situation, right? So it's the same situation, the situation between test maker and test taker, right? Is the same situation with teacher and student, also parent and child, right? And you could say boss and worker, right? So you'll see this sort of situation played out over and over and over again in society as you are growing up, right? So you're being socialized in a sense to become a certain sort of subjectivity, right? There's these social flows that are going into molding and shaping you as a sort of a programmable object, right? Something that could be guaranteed to act in certain ways, right? So to be a pleasant, conformable subject, right? And so this is good for those who are on top, right? The boss, he expects a certain amount of work, a certain sort of obedience from the worker, right? And you could say for the other situations as well, right? So is this in your best interests, right? Maybe, maybe not. There's certain skills that you will develop, right? But ultimately, this is, you could say, an abusive situation, right? So it's demeaning and demoralizing potentially, right? So, I mean, it's not that exciting and fun necessarily to study for a test like this, the SAT or ACT or ISEE, whatever it is, right? But there are these sort of fundamental skills that you learn, right? Okay, so now what I want to talk about is how to sort of reprogram this situation for your own benefit, right? And I don't think we need the picture anymore, right? Okay, so reprogramming the situation for your own benefit is basically, you could think about right, perverting the situation, as it were, right? To pervert it means to avert means to turn, right? Turn towards other ends, those ends being your own rather than those who are in the dominant position, right? So the ends which are liberatory, which are joyful, right? That's potentially what can happen, right? In any one of these disciplinary situations. And remember, I've talked about how you see these over and over again played out in different parts of life, right? It's no fun to be at the losing end, right? And there's different things that you can do. So that sort of end, right, is a formation of subjectivity of your own sort of your own person, right? So who do you want to be? How do you feel like that? Um, what are your goals and dreams, for example, right? So now let's talk about specifically in the SAT how that would work or how what that would look like, right? So these other ends, right? These other purposes, not just to serve whatever um, the individual at the dominant end of the spectrum, right? But to serve your own sort of deeper goals, right? So if you look at the SAT, right, there are certain things that you can notice, right? So as I already kind of mentioned, right, that there are these fundamental skills that you can learn through training for the test, right? So it's always good to put yourself in a positive mind frame while you're forced to do these things, right? You're forced to take the test in order to get into college and whatever to succeed in life, right? You're forced to do these sort of things that you wouldn't normally want to do, right? And you can basically tell yourself, oh, yes, but I do want to do them. Maybe not whatever to get into the college that my parents necessarily are crazy about me going to, or that whatever the CEO of some company wants me to go to, but for my own purposes, right? So so these fundamental skills, right? So anyone who wants to have a certain amount of virtuosity and skill, right, in using the English language, and why shouldn't you, right? Because the English language, being able to use it is a powerful thing. Words are power, right? So you know this if you have studied AP language, for example, right? Rhetoric can get um, a lot of things to happen, right? You can persuade people of certain things, and that could be, not just in academia, right? That could be in future careers or relationships, right? Persuade the woman of your dreams to marry you, or the man of your dreams, right? To persuade someone to buy a car that you're selling, whatever it is, right? Persuade the boss of the company you want to work for to hire you, right? So words are powerful, right? So if you've got these fundamental skills, then please think about developing them for yourself, right? And not just relying on AI to do them for you, right? Please don't be so foolish as to think that you don't need to learn grammar. You don't need to learn how to read and write because AI can do it for you now. I mean, 30 years ago, we didn't think that way when we had calculators, right? We still learned how to add and subtract, right? So these fundamental English skills, you're going to need them. There are these capacities that you can develop in your brain, right? And you should want to do that, right? Okay, so what are those fundamental skills that you can think about learning, right? You can think about learning, as I said, grammar, right? How to read and write, how to extract information from a passage in a quick way. You can think about vocabulary, right? You can remind yourself, right, that actually those who do best in the world, those who are most successful and intelligent, right? Typically, they have a larger vocabulary than the average person, right? Why is that? Because words are power, right? Words are powerful. Knowing how to use words in a subtle way, right, is an effective thing, right? So, as you're studying for the SAT, you are learning different vocabulary, right? You are reminding yourself, oh yes, I want to do this, not just that I have to do this and this is, boring and demoralizing and demeaning, which it is if you look at it from the wrong perspective, right? It's very easy to fall back into that perspective, right? To be the passive sufferer, right? But you don't want to do that. You want to be active. You want to take charge of the test, take charge of your life and the circumstances of your life, because you do have some wiggle room, right? You do have no matter what sort of disciplinary situation you are in, there is a way that you are internally free, and you can use that internal freedom to your best advantage, right? To ultimately change those circumstances, right? Or to get a different sort of perspective on those circumstances, right? Okay, so those are some fundamental skills. We could go on. We could talk about the different parts of the test. Desire to want to learn how to notice purpose, right? How to read rhetorically, etc. Right? How to read for argument, right? These sort of things, right? So even as a reader, and maybe this is the last point that I'll leave you with, right? So even as a reader, right, there is a way in which, it's not just about how you can extract the most amount of information that you can use, right? That's important, right? But it's also important to think about, oh, these are professional writers that I'm looking at, that I'm reading. And even it's a short passage, you can still think, oh, there's a way that this writer is working rhetorically, right? And oh, there's something for me to learn here that I want to know, right? So I can use it for my own purposes in the future to express, to convey these what is important for me, what is sort of deep in my heart, what is close to me, right? I want to share this with other people. I want to connect with other people. I want to inform other people, right? I want to persuade other people, right? These are all skills, although these might be higher level skills, right? There are fundamental building blocks that you can drill and hone and really solidify for yourself, right? No virtuoso, right? It doesn't matter how, whatever, innately talented you are, you still need to refine those basic skills to become the best sort of reader, writer you could be, right? To work that sort of magic that is available with any sort of craft, with any sort of art. And here we're talking about, the craft of using language efficiently, effectively. Right, so I'm going to leave you with that, and good luck. And remember, ivycollegeguru.com. We're here to help you out. Always enjoy working with students. And right, bye-bye.